Chapter 911. Extra Episode 360 Chapter 5. The dominance of Bai Lian. The gift boxes Xiaoqi packaged were all under the guidance of Sun Chun, and both had quite the aesthetic. Both the wooden boxes and their decorations had a charming appeal. At the time, Uncle Meng also helped bring them back, and he had a deep impression of these boxes and recognized them at a glance. Which family would carelessly throw this gift box out as trash? Uncle Meng's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, the next second, the cleaning staff politely said, "This is from the third master's yard." Third master? Bai Lian didn't know who he was but thanked the person anyway. "Thank you." She held the gift box in her hand and continued walking inside with Uncle Meng, looking at him with the same casual and loose expression as before. Seeing Uncle Meng looking over, she gave him a polite smile. It seemed she wasn't bothered by the gift box from the trash bin. Despite her gentle expression, Uncle Meng felt somewhat uneasy for reasons unknown. By the time Bai Lian arrived, Ji Heng had almost finished packing his things. Ji family's second master stood in the middle of the hall, ready to return to Xiangqing with Ji Heng. He held a hand-rolled cigarette and looked towards the left at the embroidery frame. "If you're not bringing her back, you should at least let me pay my respects to her. It's been 40 years. Ji family's second master actually knew that when Wanxin was at home, she often contacted the municipal people. Later, after getting into Jiangjing University and getting together with Mu Heng, the two of them vanished from public view, with no news and no way to trace them. Back then, Ji family's second master guessed that Wanxin and Mu Heng might already be people of the state. He couldn't really blame Mu Heng. Even without him, Wanxin would have made the same choice. What he couldn't let go of was that Ji Heng hadn't contacted them for so long, and hadn't brought Wanxin back either. Ji Heng was silent for a moment, then slowly said, "Now it's possible." Great Aunt stood aside quietly sighing. The Ji family was now in a state of heated rivalry. Compared to the hastily ambitious third branch, Great Aunt preferred the composed second branch. Recently, though, the third branch had delivered frequent successes, especially with securing a cooperation in Jiangjing. This cooperation was still a mystery to Great Aunt. For Ji family's second master, leaving at this juncture was more disadvantageous than beneficial. She knew she couldn't dissuade Ji family's second master. She sighed and saw two people walking through the door. In the dead of winter, the girl wore a white sweatshirt, looking quite frail. She stepped over the threshold and gracefully entered. The dimly lit room became bright instantly because of her arrival. Great Aunt's gaze shifted towards her, and without needing Uncle Meng to introduce her, she knew this must be alien, that Ji Heng had mentioned, such was her distinctive flair. This seemed to surprise Ji family's second master somewhat. Bai Lian entered, greeting politely. Her eyes unobtrusively surveyed the room's furnishings, somewhat guessing what her grandmother did. Actually, there was no need to guess. The Mu family had nothing to do with embroidery, and Ji Heng's embroidery skills obviously came from someone else. "This is my granddaughter, Bai Lian." Seeing Bai Lian, Ji Heng's expression softened considerably. Chin slightly lifted as he introduced her to the room. It was clear how proud he was. As for the gift box in Bai Lian's hands, Ji Heng glanced at it and then averted his gaze, seemingly guessing where it came from, and not really caring much about it. Ji Heng needed to catch a flight, and didn't stay long. Great Aunt saw them out and as they were leaving, left Bai Lian. "Good child, do you want to stay at Ji family for a few days? Let your grandparents go back first?" "Thank you, but I have other things to attend to," Bai Lian politely declined. After the car drove away, Great Aunt then walked back, remarking to Uncle Meng about Bai Lian. "Jiangjing University, still so well behaved. Truly a descendant of Wanxin. She carries her grace." Back in the courtyard, Great Aunt remembered the gift box Bai Lian had brought. In Great Aunt's room, there were two similar boxes. "It's from the third master's room." Uncle Meng honestly spoke. The third master might not have noticed and accidentally threw away the box. Miss Bai picked it up from the trash bin. Great Aunt was shocked. Even if they didn't like it, they could have just set it aside, not thrown it into the trash bin. What kind of manners was that? She had someone look for Ji family's third master. Although Ji family's third master didn't care for the gift, he wouldn't have discarded it. It might have been placed in a corner with some refuse last night and got cleared out by the servants by mistake, he explained. Call them later and explain the situation. Great-aunt sighed. Ji family's third master responded, changing the topic. The Che family also sent some embroidery, but in the end we were slightly better off. In a few days, I'm planning to invite that butler for a meal. Chapter 912. Extra Episode 360 Chapter 5. The dominance of Bai Lian _2. After he said these things, he turned around and left the courtyard gate. Of course, as for making a phone call to explain the gift as big sister-in-law had said, he seemed to have forgotten about it. Where is my second brother? He asked the person next to him. Having heard that second Master Ji had gone to Xiangqing, third Master Ji shook his head. Why would he go there? In the past 2 years, third Master Ji had also heard many people talk about Xiangqing, especially young people who loved to check in at Xiangqing. But the fact that it was previously impoverished was also true. No matter how popular it was, third Master Ji didn't think such an 18th-tier small city could change much. However, it was good that he went to Xiangqing. Third Master Ji planned to use this time to finalize the Phoenix robe matter. Second Master Ji accompanied Ji Heng to Xiangqing. They bought plane tickets directly. After getting off the plane, he saw the newly built Xiangqing airport, not very large, but very distinctive, and not as shabby as second Master Ji had imagined. He followed Ji Heng off the plane. Passing the newly constructed 6-lane roads, he looked at the tourist ring road, the various shopping malls, and the residential areas under construction. All sorts of large corporations were settling in Xiangqing. This level of investment was already comparable to a new first-tier city. How much did those at the top value Xiangqing? Second Master Ji was shocked beyond belief. They arrived at Puris Street. Seeing Puris Street's large crowd, he was astonished for a long while. You live here? This must be a popular tourist spot, right? Ji Heng lives here? How could it be completely different from what he had imagined? Second Master Ji was shocked inwardly, but outwardly he calmly followed Ji Heng to his residence. Tomorrow morning I'll take you there to pay homage, Ji Heng said as he walked into the courtyard, speaking to Second Master Ji. It should be closed by now at this hour. A mausoleum? Second Master Ji thought it was normal for the mausoleum to be closed. He followed Ji Heng to the front of the courtyard, observing the clean courtyard, and saw 2 elderly men playing chess next door. Ji Heng's courtyard gate was locked. He took out his keys to unlock it. The elderly neighbor, who was deeply engrossed in his chess game, heard the noise, stood up, and greeted Ji Heng. Old Ji, you're finally back? Perfect timing. Manager Jian was looking for you. Saying that, he promptly took his chess set and went back to his own house, leaving Manager Jian to Ji Heng. Ji Heng, while unlocking the door, asked in surprise, "What brings you here?" "I came to Xiangqing to join the excitement and to look for classmate Bai Lian," said Manager Jian as he slowly walked over, not feeling the slightest bit guilty about bullying the old gentleman next door. She's been busy for several months, and Yan Lu hasn't released a new song in half a year. Ji Heng couldn't answer for Bai Lian regarding these matters, and simply opened the courtyard gate. He then introduced Manager Jian to Second Master Ji. "Mr. Ji, it's good to meet you," said Manager Jian as he offered a friendly handshake to Second Master Ji. Second Master Ji took in Manager Jian's attire and demeanor, realizing that this man was not simple, but of course he was not aware of what Manager Jian meant by any songs. But he knew of the big star Yan Lu. After all, Yan Lu was a rising sun of fame, and Second Master Ji had even seen the drama Great Yong. Ji Heng and the others actually knew Yan Lu? Not only did they know her, but it also sounded like they were quite close. Especially since Ji Heng said that this person was even Bai Lian's sworn sibling? After shaking hands, Manager Jian continued to seek out Ji Heng. "You should also push classmate Bai Lian a little. She is too lazy. This won't do. Look, Yan Lu has even finished filming a movie." Ji Heng went to the kitchen to boil water and make tea for them. He acted as if he hadn't heard. In the courtyard, Second Master Ji exchanged a look with Manager, expressing his astonishment. The next day, at 7 in the morning, Ji Heng took Second Master Ji to pay homage to Ji Wanxin. Second Master Ji had always thought that Ji Wanxin was in the mausoleum, but to his surprise, Ji Hung took him straight to a tourist spot. The site was obviously quite popular. There were people all along the way. Are you sure it's here? Second Master Ji was struggling as he climbed the mountain, panting heavily. Yet seeing Ji Hung continue to climb with ease, as if walking on flat ground, he was too embarrassed to ask for a rest. He also muttered under his breath about Ji Hung's surprisingly good physical condition. Ji Hung turned onto a smaller path, where the number of people dwindled significantly. They only encountered a few scattered tourists. Taking another small path, they finally saw several tall tombstones. Ji Hung stood beside one for a while before saying, "This is it." He took out incense and, as usual, a pot of wine. Second Master Ji was truly shocked now. Looking at Ji Wangsan's tombstone for a long time, he couldn't react, thinking, aren't the tombstones in such tourist spots usually memorials for great heroes and public figures? His mind in disarray, he took out incense candles and paid homage to Ji Wanxin. Next to him, Ji Hung poured wine in front of the other two tombstones, then silently burned paper money. Chapter 913. Extra Episode 360 Chapter 5. The dominance of Bai Lian _3 The atmosphere was oppressive. As they descended the mountain, Ji Hung slowly started talking to Ji Second Master. Previously, when I was abroad, I sent messages to the homeland. The enemy was watching closely. Wanxin, posing as a pregnant woman, visited me and passed the messages on. Eventually, she was discovered. Ji Hung told Ji Second Master whatever he could. He was giving an account. I have always been guarding Xiangqing. Ji Hung placed his hands behind his back and looked up at the sunlight above. It's only in the past 2 years when the spotlight has lessened that I found a chance to return to the Ji family. Ji Second Master stayed in Xiangqing for 2 days. He went to visit the bustling Wallow Street, as well as the Calligraphy Association and the Martial Arts Center. He went there with Director Jian. Director Jian enjoyed browsing the Calligraphy Association, and there he encountered a middle-aged woman in a suit. Ji Second Master observed Director Jian chatting with this woman for quite some time. He stood aside, observing the artworks hanging on the walls of the Calligraphy Association. Without uttering a word, he simply thought she was an acquaintance of Director Jian. However, upon hearing the middle-aged woman address Jian Zhongyo as director, and seeing the respect on her face, Ji Second Master was surprised. A director? What kind of director? Director Jian and the middle-aged woman walked towards the outdoor stage. Watching the crowd of tourists outside, Ji Second Master followed behind them, overhearing the staff outside addressing the woman as Director Sunday. Who is she? Ji Second Master was once again taken aback and asked the person beside him, "Are you talking about Director Sun?" The young person beside him chuckled. "She's the head of the Xiangqing Culture and Tourism Bureau. She's approachable and young people really like her." The head of the Culture and Tourism Bureau? Ji Second Master's gaze shifted back to Director Jian. This head of the Culture and Tourism Bureau held such respect for Jian Zhongyo. So who exactly is this Director Jian? That was enough for now. Ji Hung did mention that Director Jian and Bai Lian were old friends despite the age difference. Xicheng. The butler came to confirm the size and preferred patterns with Bai Lian. Bai Lian glanced at the adjacent snow plum, recalling the incident at the Ji family, until the butler mentioned that he was making clothes for her. She inquired further about whom the butler had collaborated with. Having visited the Ji family, Bai Lian knew the Ji family had a heritage. The butler naturally did not conceal anything from Bai Lian, and explained about the Ji family. The Ji family. Bai Lian stretched out her arms to let the embroideress take her measurements, pondering slightly. "Send me that person's information later." The butler nodded. "All right." After staying in Xiangqing for 2 days, Ji Second Master hurriedly returned to Xicheng to prepare for work. He also brought along some new clothes made by Ji Hung for Bai Lian. Bai Lian had arranged to meet him at a tea house on the ancient street. Before entering, his phone rang in his pocket. He frowned upon seeing the caller and stepped outside to answer. The caller was Ji Third Master. "Haven't you arrived yet?" Ji Third Master spoke in a tone not respectful but rather condescending and commanding. "Didn't I ask you to bring me that coat?" The Ji family had a meeting, and it was almost certain that Ji Third Master would get the cooperation deal with Jiangjing. His manner of speaking was naturally different from before. Something came up. Ji Second Master did not mention Bai Lian. Having learned from Uncle Meng that Bai Lian was affiliated with Jiang University, and with Director Jian in the background, Ji Second Master had realized that Bai Lian was not as he had imagined. Not to mention the two plainclothes agents just outside. Ji Third Master was very dissatisfied and coldly hung up the phone. In the vicinity, Ji Second Master's confidant expressed worry. Second Master, it's said that Third Master is meeting an important guest today, and the visitor is from Jiangjing. I know, Ji Second Master continued to head upwards. He reached the private room Bai Lian had mentioned. Ji Second Master immediately saw the two plainclothes guards standing outside the box. He paused for a moment, then lifted the curtain and entered with the paper bag prepared by Ji Heng. Bai Lian was sitting by the window, leisurely making tea. She held the purple clay teapot, gently nodding 3 times, filling the teacups halfway. The fragrance of the tea permeated the entire private room. Ji Second Master sniffed. It seemed like the tea Ji Heng had given him. This is what your grandfather asked me to bring you. Ji Second Master handed a package of clothes to Bai Lian. Thank you. Bai Lian placed one hand on the table, the other holding the teacup, slowly savoring it as her gaze dropped. The confidant waited anxiously outside, knocked on the door, urging Ji Second Master to attend the meeting. Having delivered the items and courteously sipped the tea, Ji Second Master stood to leave, ready to rush back. Wait a moment. Bai Lian put down the teacup, took out her phone, and showed Ji Second Master a photo. Is this one of your family's embroidery pieces? He recognized it as snow plum embroidery by his elder sister-in-law. After pondering for a moment, Ji Second Master replied, It's my sister-in-law's award-winning piece. Bai Lian poured herself more tea, as she had anticipated. After filling her cup, she placed the teapot down, pressing her finger on the lid and tapping it slowly, pondering for a moment before lifting her head. Your sister-in-law's work, but it's your youngest uncle who discussed the cooperation? Ji Second Master was a bit taken aback. His youngest brother had kept the matter extremely confidential, and he knew little about it, not even knowing who the cooperation partner was. It was his youngest uncle, however, who had been very prominent at the weaving factory because of this matter over the past 2 days. He did not know how Bai Lian had uncovered this matter. Yes, my brother handled this. Bai Lian looked up, glanced at him, then pulled out her phone and dialed a number briefly. Come to the tea house. Bai Lian tossed her phone onto the table, crossed her arms and leaned back, her demeanor exuding an innate wildness. I have some complaints about your Ji family's third master. Either change the person negotiating with me, or this partnership ends here. Chapter 9:14. Extra Story 361-6. Not an ordinary person, Boss Mao. Mao Xiaoqi. The Xiqing weaving factory has occupied an important position since ancient times. In the early years, the Ji family also belonged to the management class of the weaving factory, acting as the eyes and ears of the emperor, which was the heyday of the Xiqing weaving factory. Now the factory doesn't wield the same influence, but its people still hold public office. But now, the entire weaving factory has become a state-owned enterprise. The eldest aunt of the Ji family is one of the most powerful heritage craftsmen in the weaving factory today. Ji Iri and Ji Sanyi are close behind, and now Ji Sanyi is connecting to a business deal that is very beneficial to the weaving factory, promoting its influence. This matter had been news a few months ago, and was also a major project that the weaving factory had been preparing to follow up on this year. Ji Iri looked at Bai Lian and didn't react for a while, until the phone rang again. This time, it was the eldest aunt's call. She was in the weaving conference hall, asking Ji Iri. The director said that the person in charge of the cooperating party will also come. Lao San and several from the Chow family have been waiting for a long time. Why haven't you arrived yet? Ji Iri sat opposite Bai Lian, and took quite a while to react before whispering. I have some matters here, and can't return for the time being. Outside the private room, someone knocked on the door. 3 people entered, one of them an old man in a black robe, holding a cane in his left hand, slowly walking inside. This elder was someone Ji Iri had never seen before. The middle-aged man by the elder's side was holding the door curtain, letting the elder in first. After the elderly man entered, the middle-aged man followed a step behind, walking in. Following them, there was a young man in a black cotton-padded jacket. The male's face was youthful. Jerry's gaze shifted to the middle-aged man beside him before he clearly saw his face. Surprised, he quickly stood up from his chair and called out, "Mr. Pei." Pei Yuanfu, hearing the voice, looked at Jerry but he did not recognize him. However, seeing him sitting opposite Bai Lian, he also nodded politely. Then he turned to Bai Lian both politely and respectfully. "Miss Bai, how's the tea today?" "Quite good," Bai Lian responded. "Glad you're enjoying it." Pei Yuanfu sighed in relief. Jerry listened to their conversation and didn't dare to speak. After speaking a few words with Pei Yuanfu, Bai Lian then introduced the other two men to Jerry. "Xiaoqi, my cousin." "Xiaoqi." Jerry's thoughts stirred. Recalling what Ji Hung had just mentioned a few days ago, Mao Xiaoqi, his grandson who hadn't completed middle school. He looked at Xiaoqi sitting in the chair. The young man was wearing a black cotton-padded jacket. Because it was warm in the tea house, the zipper was not up, and his fringe fell forward onto his forehead, giving him a refined and elegant appearance, like an artist holding a paintbrush. Indeed, he resembled Bai Lian quite a bit. If Ji Hung hadn't mentioned Xiaoqi, Jerry wouldn't have guessed that he hadn't finished middle school. "Nice to meet you," Xiaoqi greeted Jerry politely. Bai Lian continued to introduce Jerry to the butler by her side. "This is Butler Jiang. Regarding matters of the weaving factory, you can talk to him." Hearing Bai Lian's words, Pei Yuanfu silently sat in the last empty seat, thoughtfully glancing at Jerry. 20 minutes later, Jerry, holding a signed contract, looked at the signature on the last page, and didn't come back to his senses for a long time. Bai Lian was to return to the seawater desalination base, taking with her the clothes Ji Hung had brought for her as she went downstairs. Butler Jiang and Pei Yuanfu went down the stairs together to see her off. Xiaoqi followed the group at a suitable distance, emanating a clear and graceful air. Two plainclothes security guards followed behind her, also keeping a suitable distance. As Bai Lian was about to get into the car, Jerry suddenly remembered Director Jian, and hurriedly called out to Bai Lian. "Director Jian asked when you would bring out your guzheng. It's been half a year." After hearing that, Bai Lian got into the car and waved towards Jerry cavalierly. She didn't give an answer. As the car drove away, Pei Yuanfu sent Butler Jiang off in a car, then turned to Jerry, took out his phone, and very friendly invited him to dinner. Jerry was flattered. "Mr. Xiaoqi." Pei Yuanfu then invited Mao Xiaoqi, who was a step behind them. "Would you like to join us?" Standing aside, Jerry could clearly see that Pei Yuanfu's attitude towards Xiaoqi was like that towards an equal. Although it wasn't as reverent as towards Bai Lian, it was still very cautious. After finishing their meal and on the way back, Pei Yuanfu naturally included Butler Jiang in the conversation. Jerry took out his own phone, a little fancifully, exchanged phone numbers, and added Pei Yuanfu on WeChat. On the side, his confidant saw that both Pei Yuanfu and Xiaoqi had left. Only then did he look at Jerry in surprise. "Second master, why did Mr. Pei eat with you? And who is this Mr. Xiaoqi?" Chapter 9:15. Extra Story 361-6. Not an ordinary person, Boss Mao, Mao Xiaoqi _2 Xiaoqi, is the grandson of my elder aunt, and as for Mr. Pei, Second Master Ji exhaled. He is a guest of my elder aunt's granddaughter. Evening. When Second Master Ji returned home, most of the Ji family had also come back. The eldest sister-in-law sat in the living room, with Third Master Ji beside her, and Ji Lang and Ji Yin among a few others. The atmosphere was quite silent. Seeing Second Master Ji, the eldest sister-in-law looked up and inquired why he had returned at such a time. Second Master Ji was still thinking about Bai Lian. Hearing this, he looked up. "I was just bringing something to Wangsen's granddaughter." "Ji Wangsen's granddaughter?" Third Master Ji, who was holding a teacup, looked up at Second Master Ji, hintingly said, "Second brother. Today the director and several managers from the weaving factory were there, everyone except you." Second Master Ji cast his eyes down, and did not respond. When Ji Lang and the others were about to leave, the eldest sister-in-law remembered something and asked Ji Lang, Alung, how are you preparing for Wangxin's grandson's school registration? She was talking about Xiaoqi. Ji Lang had not taken Ji Heng's family to heart at all, and had long forgotten about it. He replied calmly, Anan told me that these few days, the management from Xiankong headquarters have come to Xiqing. I am currently liaising with them about this matter. Registering for school isn't something that can be done in a short time, especially for someone who has been out of school for several years. How popular Xiankong had been lately was known even to the eldest sister-in-law, who was deeply engaged in embroidery. Because she sat on the embroidery stool year-round, she had developed chronic ailments in her hands and back. She had even queued for a card at Xiankong before, and it was thanks to the acupuncture and massage from Zhuangkang's doctors that she was still able to hold an embroidery needle. This matter is indeed very important, the eldest sister-in-law showed understanding but still urged. School is about to start, try to get it done when you have time. Ji Lang smiled and gave no answer. Second Master Ji was still holding a file bag in his hand. He silently sat aside, and had Uncle Meng pour him a cup of tea. Hearing this, he glanced at Third Master Ji. It was not until Third Master Ji and Ji Lang had left that the eldest sister-in-law sighed. I see that Alung doesn't really want to help with the school registration, so you should also keep an eye on it. Second Master Ji picked up the teacup and took a sip. He had heard about Xiaoqi from Uncle Meng, Ji Heng's grandson, who did not finish middle school and did not wish to continue his education. Second Master Ji had also thought Ji Heng was being foolish before. But after meeting Xiaoqi today, Second Master Ji felt that Xiaoqi was different from what he had imagined. Seeing Pei Yuanfa's attitude towards Xiaoqi and Bai Lian, wasn't getting a school registration just a matter of a few words? Okay, I'll ask around tomorrow. Second Master Ji finished speaking, but then remembered the Jiang family butler, pausing slightly. Did you see that person at the weaving factory today with the third brother? Hearing this, the eldest sister-in-law shook her head. No, only people from the weaving factory came over. It was said that they were busy with something, and we still don't know what the situation is. Second Master Ji wasn't surprised. After the eldest sister-in-law finished speaking, he placed the file in front of her. Take a look at this. What is this? The eldest sister-in-law looked at the file on the table with surprise, then opened it and asked Uncle Meng to bring her reading glasses. As soon as she put them on, she saw the text on the first page of the agreement. She quickly sat up straight and read down the page. Then she flipped to the last page. The last two lines of signatures, with Ji Lang's name in front, and the last line, signature, Jiang Shijue seal, Zhongxing Group. This is... Today he didn't go to the weaving factory because he went to the tea house. Second Master Jis gaze was also rather complex. The one who ordered the custom-made cloud brocade phoenix robe was a member of the Jiang family. The one I spoke with today was the Jiang family butler, and this phoenix robe, it's made for Wangxin's granddaughter. What? The eldest sister-in-law stood up in shock, almost knocking over the teacup near her. Second Master Ji nodded towards her. The eldest sister-in-law took a while to react, sitting dazedly in the chair. Only after she recovered did Second Master Ji ask about other things, mainly about Bai Lian's last words. What's the deal between the third brother and her? Even though Third Master Ji was not concerned about Zhaoqi's school registration, Bai Lian did not know about this either. Hearing Second Master Ji's question, the eldest sister-in-law's gaze shifted towards the door. It must have been the gift. He threw Xiaoming's gift into the trash can, and that day, it was seen by Wangxin's granddaughter. It didn't take many days for the news about Second Master Jis' collaboration with the Jiang family butler, and obtaining the Zhongxing Group's agreement to reach Third Master Ji. How could this be? Third Master Ji overturned the tea table, throwing a fit in his living quarters. But he couldn't find out any additional details. Chapter 916. Extra Story 361-6. Not an ordinary person, Boss Mao Xiaoqi_3. The focus of the Ji family and the weaving factory had already shifted towards Jis' third grandfather. Even Ji Lang had been scolded mercilessly by him. Grandfather, Ji Lang pursed his lips, waiting for his grandfather's rage to subside before he spoke. Tonight, the Xiqing Chamber of Commerce is hosting a dinner for the people from the Xiankong Chamber of Commerce headquarters. Will you be attending? The Xiqing Chamber of Commerce used to be led by the weaving factory. Now the president had changed to the wealthiest man in Xiqing. Upon hearing this, Jis' third grandfather slightly subdued his anger, and had Ji Lang prepare to accompany him in the evening. The evening banquet of the Xiqing Chamber of Commerce was held in the Grand Auditorium, with many celebrities gathered and several municipal leaders also present. The banquet started at 7, but Jis' third grandfather arrived early, not even 6 o'clock yet. He networked with various significant business owners at the venue, exchanging business cards. Ji Lang and his fiancée both followed behind Jis' third grandfather. As it neared 7 o'clock, a stir went through the main entrance, marking the president of the Xiqing Chamber of Commerce's arrival. The crowd surged towards the entrance. Jis' third grandfather and Ji Lang exchanged glances, picking up their wine glasses and following the crowd toward the entrance. The two finally squeezed in and saw the chamber's president, who was accompanied by a young man in a suit. Judging by his somewhat tender face, he seemed to be no older than 20. President. Jis' third grandfather finally found an opportunity and, holding up his wine glass, toasted the president and the young man. I am from the weaving factory, and this is my grandson Ji Lang. The president of the Xiqing Chamber of Commerce nodded. He seemed to have met Ji Lang before. Young Ji is promising. And this is Director Mao from the Xiankong headquarters, managing director, just like young Ji, both with great prospects. Jis' third grandfather had been waiting for just that moment and hurriedly raised his wine glass. Director Mao, hello. Mao Xiaoqi held his wine glass and slightly raised it toward Jis' third grandfather. Jis' third grandfather only managed to exchange a few words with Mao Xiaoqi, and didn't even have the chance to introduce himself before being pushed aside by other corporate bosses. The Ji family honestly didn't count for much in this circle. But fortunately, Jis' third grandfather managed to get Director Mao's business card. Standing in a corner, he spoke to Ji Lang nearby. Once the crowd thins, go and introduce yourselves. Then he asked, did my second brother not come? Second grandfather is at the weaving factory, he's coming late, Ji Lang replied. Jis' third grandfather nodded and said no more, instead introducing Ji Lang to other people at the chamber again. Second grandfather of Ji arrived hurriedly at 7:30. Jis' third grandfather spotted him from afar, but did not greet him. Nearby, Ji Lang's fiancée recognized Jis' third grandfather and asked in a low voice, shall we invite them over? Second grandfather Ji had always been immersed in studying embroidery techniques and knew few people. His presence today was due to his rising position in the weaving factory, which brought him along. Not as well connected as Jis' third grandfather. With a champagne glass in hand, Jis' third grandfather remained silent, but upon seeing the president and Director Mao, he quickly approached with a smile. I've long heard of the great reputation of Xiankong. Meeting Director Mao today, truly a hero is younger than he seems. He raised his glass, exchanging pleasantries with the president and Director Mao. Mao Xiaoqi politely smiled, having heard too many similar remarks tonight. He politely raised his glass to Jis' third grandfather, then looking up, his eyes met with those of second grandfather Ji. Second grandfather Ji, along with the director of the weaving factory, was discussing matters about the Xiankong headquarters, and was caught off guard by Mao Xiaoqi's gaze. He then approached with his wine glass. Somewhat puzzled, Mao Xiaoqi. Everyone at the venue who had received Mao Xiaoqi's business card knew his name, Mao Xiaoqi. Hearing second grandfather Ji directly call Director Mao by his name, Jis' third grandfather's expression subtly changed. Thinking it bold to address Director Mao by his name, considering his societal status was higher than that of the Ji family despite his younger age. When second grandfather Ji approached, Jis' third grandfather pulled him by the sleeve and quietly warned, that's Director Mao. As he spoke, he looked up and with a smile, explained to Mao Xiaoqi and the president, Director Mao, my second brother was calling for my grandson Xiaoming, who is conveniently the seventh in our family. Yet, just as he finished speaking, Mao Xiaoqi looked at second grandfather Ji and politely called out, second grandfather. Chapter 917, 362 Number 7. The scariest one. The surroundings were quite peaceful. Ever since Xiaoqi arrived in Xiqing, There weren't many who could genuinely connect with him. Even the people from the Xiqing Business Association tried their best to bring Xiankong into the Xiqing Business Association. Tonight's grand display at the association was solely for Xiankong. Yet despite the entire Xiqing Business Association being mobilized, Xiaoqi barely revealed any of his thoughts and didn't seem close to anyone. Now that they saw him calling someone second grandpa, people around were secretly having others inquire about second grandpa Jis news. Second grandpa Ji was also surprised. He had recognized that the man beside Xiaoqi was the president of the Xiqing Business Association, and everyone around was revolving around Xiaoqi, associating this with the banquet held today in honor of the general manager from the Xiankong headquarters. Throughout the banquet, aside from Xiaoqi, second grandpa Ji was also someone whose acquaintances sought to become familiar with. Some had even found their way to third grandpa Ji to inquire about the exact relationship between Xiaoqi and second grandpa Ji. Another group, holding their wine glasses, chatted up third grandpa Ji, all because of Xiaoqi and second grandpa Ji. With a rigid smile on his face, third grandpa Ji saw this group off. By his side, Ji Lang looked towards the center, where second grandpa Ji was surrounded by influential individuals of the Xiqing circle, and opened his mouth. Second grandpa is. Third grandpa Ji pursed his lips and shook his head. He knew nothing. He just felt that everything changed after second grandpa Ji returned from a trip to Xiangqing. The orders from the weaving factory were reassigned, and now even General Mao from Xiankong was acquainted with him? How did second grandpa Ji find such connections out of the blue? After the reception ended, Xiaoqi left first, and the president personally saw second grandpa Ji out. It was then that third grandpa Ji found an opportunity to speak with second grandpa Ji and asked about Xiaoqi. In fact, second grandpa Ji himself had not fully recovered from his astonishment. Hearing the query, he tilted his head and looked at third grandpa Ji. "You're asking about Xiaoqi?" Third grandpa Ji and Ji Lang, among others, all halted and held their breath, waiting for his response. "You know him," second grandpa Ji looked at him. "He is Wangxin's grandson." "What did you say?" Third grandpa Ji was stunned upon hearing that. Ji Wangxin's grandson? Wasn't it said by the eldest grandmother that he hadn't even finished middle school? And they had even been arranging Ji Lang to sort out his school registration? How did he suddenly become the general manager of Xiankong headquarters? In fact, not just third grandpa Ji. Even second grandpa Ji himself could hardly believe it. During their last encounter, he had guessed that Bai Lian and Zhaoqi's identities were no simple matter, given Bai Lian cared about the butler of the Zhongxing group, and the Pei family was so polite to Xiaoqi. Yet even with all the guessing, second grandpa Ji had never imagined that Xiaoqi was in fact the general manager of Xiankong headquarters. Second grandpa Ji departed. Ji Lang, third grandpa Ji, and others were still standing in the original spot. A chill wind blew through. Third grandpa Ji shivered and turned back to look at Ji Lang. "How is your school registration going?" The Xiqing Sea Water Purification Project. Most of the research staff had already been assembled. Ning Xiao, with his computer in tow, attended the meeting, bringing Pei Qin and Wang Su along. Pei and Wang were merely ordinary sophomores at Jiangjing University, lacking the extraordinary capabilities of Ning Xiao and Bai Lian. They could barely keep up with the pace. During their time at the base, the two of them barely slept 3 hours a day. At the start of the semester, the project had already officially begun research, and Bai Lian and Ning Xiao were all set to return to school. Back at Jiangjing, both the laboratory and the Tongfeng class had a bunch of things waiting for them. When they came to Xiqing, it was only a few people like Bai Lian and Jiang Fulai. But when they returned to Jiangjing, the group had grown significantly. Second grandpa Ji had successfully negotiated the project and formally entered the circle of the Xiqing Business Association. This year, the Xiqing Business Association was sending him to negotiate with the Jiangjing Business Association. The eldest grandmother saw him off, and they had not contacted Bai Lian since. However, he had spoken with Xiaoqi a few times. "What do you think?" second grandpa Ji asked the eldest grandmother as he waited for the car, tilting his head. "Who exactly are Wangxin's family members? Especially his grandson. That's Xiankong after all." One Bai Lian had gotten into Jiangjing University and knew the Jiang family butler. One Xiaoqi, not yet 20 years old, a corporate giant of Xiankong. He had some real talent. This Xiaoqi was even more terrifying than Bai Lian. The eldest grandmother didn't know either. This time when second grandpa Ji went to Jiangjing, he took his grandson Ji Yun with him. Before boarding the plane, he also called Ji Heng to let him know he was heading to Jiangjing, and that he had brought specialties and gifts from Xiqing for Bai Lian and the rest. Jiangjing. The Jiang family's plane touched down at Jiangjing Airport, where a small section was reserved for private planes, and Jiangjing had plenty who could afford their own aircraft. Chapter 918, 362 Number 7. The scariest 1_2 however. Only the Jiang family had set aside a separate area, parking 3 airplanes. Jiang Fulai slowly landed behind Bai Lian, holding a cell phone, answering Gao Shu's call leisurely. Yet his gaze fell ahead. Ahead, Bai Lian's left hand held a document behind her back as she turned her head to explain the topic to Wang Su and Pei Qin, the black of her eyes reflecting the airport scenery. In Jiangjing it was still winter, and the airport was windy. She was wearing only a white knitted sweater. She did not feel cold. Jiang Fulai watched her silhouette, leisurely pulling up his black scarf to cover his cold, hard jawline. The butler has already made the wedding dress. Gao Shu urged Jiang Fulai over the phone. When are you planning to get married? Jiang Fulai's icy fingertips touched the phone, his usual cold expression in his eyes, but his voice was gentle. What's the rush? She's just in her sophomore year. Such a craftsmanship on the phoenix robe would also take a year of manual work. Gao Shu had already started working, having just finished a meeting at the theater. Am I the only one in a hurry? Jiang Fulai paused briefly and hummed an affirmation. Gao Shu didn't expose him, only raising an eyebrow. Okay, are you coming back today? This new year, she hadn't seen Bai Lian yet. Now that they were coming back, Gao Shu was ready to go to the Shanghai apartment with some items. Ahead, Bai Lian was still discussing the topic with the two. It's is the entorsion subgroup of the able group A. What you get is a long exact sequence, naturally leading to an injection. She spoke methodically, detailing each step meticulously, unlike Jiang Fulai, who found it too simple and would typically skip over. Nor would she spare them a disdainful huh. Tang Ming and Ning Xiao's improvement in grades had much to do with her. Having finished, she also gave them time to reflect. Meanwhile, she called Ji Heng to tell him that she had safely arrived in Jiangjing. Ji Heng still had to stay in Xiangqing for a while, not coming back just yet. Upon receiving Bai Lian's call, he was at Purist Street, worshipping the tree god with a group of tourists, praying while telling Bai Lian that Ji grand-uncle had also arrived in Jiangjing and had brought her clothes. The clothes the great lady made for you, Ji Heng, following the crowd, finished worshipping the tree god and then slowly told Bai Lian. When I went back to Xiqing, she had already asked for your measurements to make them. She finished making it yesterday. Great lattice craftsmanship is superb. She even taught your grandmother. I'll have it sent directly to the Shanghai apartment. Bai Lian had already seen the car sent by the Research Institute. Okay, I'll make a trip to the Research Institute first. I'll return by 5. The driver was the previous driver of academician Ma, and the co-driver was a previously plainclothes security officer. Jiang Fulai was picked up by a car from the Jiang family. He hadn't gone home all year, and was now rushing back for the Jiang family's annual meeting. Wang Su and Pei Qin, not daring to join Jiang Fulai, got into the car that came for Bai Lian. After 3 in the afternoon, Ji grand-uncle arrived in Jiangjing with Ji Yun. The two were received by members of the Jiangjing Chamber of Commerce and stayed at the Yunxiao building. It was not a busy time, and Chang'an district was not far away. Seeing the address Ji Heng had sent, they headed to Shanghai apartment. When they reached near Shanghai apartment, they realized it was close to Jiang University. Both had been to Jiangjing before, Ji Yun having visited for tourism several times, even entering Jiang University. Now, standing in front of its understated and rhythmic gate, he looked up at the words Jiangjing University, and couldn't help but feel ambition surge again. Remembering Ji Heng, Ji Yun exclaimed to Ji grand-uncle, I didn't expect the matriarch's granddaughter is studying here. This was Jiangjing University, after all, where only a handful from Xiqing got admitted each year. Ji Yun had yet to meet this granddaughter of the matriarch, and was very curious about what she looked like. With the school term at Jiang University in session, there were many people at the entrance. Ji granduncle wanted to look inside Jiang University, as it was a place where Wanxin had once been. But Ji Yun hadn't managed to get the QR code to enter, only securing one for 3 days later. Let's come back in a couple of days. Ji Yun put away his phone, holding the bag in his hand, and said to him, "It's almost time. Let's head to Shanghai apartment first." Ji Yun was eager. It turned out their relative could actually get into Jiang University. His curiosity about Ji Heng's granddaughter reached its peak. They arrived at the gate of Shanghai apartment soon. This road was rather quiet, and upon seeing the gate of Shanghai apartment, Ji granduncle walked towards it. "Didn't the matriarch say to call our cousin in advance? Also, aren't there too few people here?" Ji Yun followed Ji granduncle, puzzled by the sparseness of people on the road, and the sparse crowd at the gate of Shanghai apartment. The location occupied by Shanghai apartment was unexpectedly uncrowded. "It's just a few steps away. We can walk there." Grandpa Ji had not intended for Bai Lian to come and pick them up. The two of them arrived at the entrance of Shanghai apartment. Before they could state their purpose, they saw plainclothes guards standing on both sides of the gate. With bulging pockets, Ji Yun immediately spotted the exposed gun handle, and quickly pulled his grandfather back a step. "Grandpa, I think we better make a phone call." He saw it, and naturally Grandpa Ji saw it too. What kind of setup is this complex? Even the security guards at the gate are armed? Not really. The two grandsons exchanged glances, and Grandpa Ji immediately took out his cell phone to call Ji Heng, telling him that they had reached the entrance of the complex. It wasn't long before a middle-aged man came out from the complex to meet Grandpa Ji and Ji Yun. "Are you relatives of Bai Lian?" Grandpa Ji, looking at the other's shiny bald head, quickly responded, "Yes. I'm Bai Lian's senior, surnamed Huang." Dean Huang led Grandpa Ji and Ji Yun inside, smiling warmly. "She's still busy. Let me first take you to 103. Grandpa Ji and Ji Yun looked at Dean Huang in surprise. Such a big age difference, and he's Bai Lian's senior? The two followed Dean Huang into the complex. Grandpa Ji and Dean Huang struck up a conversation. Since Dean Huang claimed to be Bai Lian's senior and was easygoing, he appeared less formal. They chatted about Bai Lian until they turned a corner. A young man walking his dog saw Dean Huang and hurried to greet him excitedly. "Dean Huang, hello. I'm from the Institute of Nuclear Power, and you an academician, you are my idols." Dean Huang nodded at him amiably. The dog walker eagerly looked behind Dean Huang. "Where's God Jian?" Bai Jian is the faith of the younger generation. Dean Huang. "What happened to me being your idol? The little junior sister is still busy." But Dean Huang also understood these young people's mindset. As an era they witnessed firsthand, becoming fans of Bai Lian wasn't surprising at all. After parting with the young man, Dean Huang took Grandpa Ji and Ji Yun to 103. Then he leisurely returned to the adjacent building to tidy up his newly moved belongings. The hall of 103. Grandpa Ji escorted Dean Huang out and waited for him to walk away before returning to the hall. "Another dean? What kind of dean exactly?" And the academician previously mentioned in the conversation. "That little junior sister in Dean Huang's mouth must be Bai Lian, right? How come Bai Lian doesn't seem like an ordinary college student?" 450. Outside Shanghai apartment. Zhang Xiais and Yin Lu had also arrived today. Yin Lu, wearing a black mask and fisherman's hat, got out of the car in a black coat. Her tall figure was accentuated by the black coat, making her look very stylish. Sister Xian got out of the passenger seat, looked ahead at Zhang Xiais with his hands in his pockets, then whispered to Yin Lu about her recent variety show ventures. Yin Lu hadn't taken any variety shows since Perfect Day. "The investors asked me to ask you," Sister Xian said, pausing, "if you could please bring your composing maestro on board?" Huang, trailing behind, removed Yin Lu's scarf. Hearing this, he quickly stared intently at Yin Lu. Bringing him out would probably blow up the entertainment industry, right? Of course, if Sister Xian knew what Huang was thinking, she would have told him. It's not just the entertainment industry that would explode. Chapter 919, 363 Extra 8. The Emperor of Vines Yen Lu pressed her hat down without speaking, just gazing at Xinjie. Xinjie shrugged. Director Su asked me to inquire. Director Su had worked with Yen Lu before she became popular, so they shared some rapport, which is why they could invite the now famous Yen Lu for this variety show. I'll talk to Director Su later, Yen Lu said as she took the scarf handed to her by Ah Huang. After the security in the residential complex was changed, not many cars could enter, so Yen Lu's nanny car had to be parked outside temporarily these past few times. Okay, Xinjie escorted Yen Lu into the complex, and before entering, she carefully reminded, be careful not to be photographed when you go out with Xiao Zhang and the others. The security recognized Zhang Xiais and Yen Lu and opened the access gate for them. Ah Huang stood next to Xinjie as the iron gate closed again. He was startled to see Yen Lu removing her fisherman's hat and mask. Xinjie, isn't it risky for Lu to just walk in like that? What could possibly happen in this complex? Xinjie yawned and slowly returned to the car. Anyone you randomly meet inside could outshine Yen Lu. 103. Zhang Xiais and Yen Lu entered first, moving the flowers kept by Ji Heng. By 7 o'clock during the New Year's, the flowers were all tended to by Su Nanjing. The two walked right in, causing Ji Yun and Grandpa Ji to sit uneasily upon hearing the password being entered. They quickly stood up and cautiously looked toward the door. The entrants were not by Lien, but a man and a woman. The man at the front wore a shell jacket zipped all the way up, exposing only his tall nose and a pair of starry eyes. The woman had no makeup on, yet her face was striking even in its bare state. Ji Yun froze. Yen Lu. Ji Yun and Grandpa Ji both recognized her as the currently highly popular Yen Lu. However, Grandpa Ji had already known back in Xiangqing that Bai Lian knew Yen Lu. Grandpa Ji, hello. I am Bai Lian's classmate, Zhang Xiais. Zhang Xiais had already heard from Bai Lian about the Ji family's visit and wasn't surprised, introducing himself to Grandpa Ji. Meanwhile, he took off his coat and opened the door to the courtyard to water the plants. Since Ji Heng and others hadn't been back for a while, the plants had been looked after by Su Nanjing. Yen Lu adeptly went to the kitchen, boiled a pot of hot water, and made tea for the two of them. Ji Yin sat nervously on the sofa, holding the tea Yen Lu had poured for him, lost in a daze. 5 o'clock. Bai Lian, along with Pei Qin and Wang Su, led a few people to Building 5. They didn't immediately go to 103, but first took them to 303 to let them sit in the hall and study some data before heading down to 103. In 103, Ji Yun sat upright on the sofa as Zhang Xiais brought out some fruits and seeds he had brought back, hosting them. Sister Lian will be back soon. Thank you, Ji Yun said cautiously. The two exchanged words. The door to 103 made a noise again. Zhang Xiais and Yen Lu both rose and walked toward the door. It should be Sister Lian returning. Sister Lian? Was it the grandaunt's granddaughter Grandpa always talked about? Ji Yun instinctively stood up and took a couple of steps forward, quietly looking on. The one entering through the door was a girl dressed in a pure white linen dress, slightly long, with a slender green willow leaf embroidered only around the neckline. Her black hair held up at the back by a plain wooden hairpin. She held a cell phone in her hand. Looking up, she revealed a stunningly clear face. Upon seeing Ji Yun, she nodded slightly, hello. Ji Yun took a moment before responding, hello, I'm Ji Yun. Bai Lian calmly closed the door to 103, talking with Grandpa Ji, who then brought out the clothes made for Bai Lian by the great-grandmother during this period. The materials were all treasured collections of the great-grandmother, fit to be family heirlooms. All were cloud brocade. As she talked with Grandpa Ji, Ji Yun kept glancing at Yen Lu. Yen Lu, aware that this was Bai Lian's relative, was also very friendly to him, proactively asking if he needed anything. When he learned Ji Yun wanted an autograph picture, Yen Lu quietly asked Zhang Xiais if they still had any photos of her on hand, then immediately explained, my girlfriend is your fan. Sister Lian has some, Zhang Xiais recalled. Xiaohan collected a bunch. The two informed Bai Lian and took Ji Yun upstairs to get the photo. 303. Wang Su and Pei Qin were still discussing data at the round table. Seeing someone coming back, both of them couldn't help but stand up. Wang Su and the others were quite familiar with Tang Ming and Ning Xiao, but they had only met Zhang Xiais twice, though they recognized him, and they greeted each other amicably. Ji Yun was startled when he saw Wang Su and Pei Qin. Young Master Wang, young Master Pei. Unexpectedly, there were still people at Bai Lian's place who called themselves Young Master Wang, Young Master Pei. Wang Su and Pei Qin both looked at Ji Yun. Their memories were good, and they remembered seeing Ji Yun at their office. But they didn't know Ji Yun's name. The social butterfly Wang Su quickly asked warmly about Ji Yun's news. Young Master Wang, I am Ji Yun from the Ji family of Xiqing. Ji Yun quickly introduced himself. I'm a friend of Yang Kai, and this time I came with my second grandfather. He introduced himself, and said his second grandfather was here to see Bai Lian. Hearing the latter part, Wang Su realized that this was a relative of Bai Lian's. His brow twitched, and he quickly embraced Ji Yun's shoulders. We're all brothers, calling me Young Master Wang is too distant, Ji bro. From now on just call me and brother Pei by our names. Pei Qin slowly stood up from his seat, always taciturn, right? In just a brief encounter, they were already addressing each other as brothers with the heirs of two major families of Xiqing. Ji Yun sat in a chair, holding an autographed photo given to him by Yin Lu. He knew that Wang Su and Pei Qin's suddenly amiable attitude toward him was entirely because of Bai Lian. At night, Bai Lian saw Ji Yun and his second grandfather out of the apartment complex. Wang Su and Pei Qin also came down to see them off with her, and added Ji Yun on WeChat as well. Bai Lian stood by the steps, dressed in white thread clothes and black pants, listening to the second grandfather say they were en route today, originally wanting to visit Jiangjing University, but they hadn't made a reservation. Couldn't make a reservation? Bai Lian turned sideways. Return to school period, banning entry from non-school members, Ji Yun explained to Bai Lian. Bai Lian nodded slightly, her gaze landing on an elderly person throwing away trash in the neighboring building. Happy New Year, Principal Sure. Xiyu leisurely threw the black trash bag into the bin. Seeing Bai Lian addressing him, he walked over in 2 steps. When did you come back? Just returned this afternoon. Bai Lian mentioned a few words with Xiyu, then remembered the second grandfather. Is the school no longer open for visits? Xiyu saw the second grandfather and Ji Yun, and guessed something. For the students' safety, visits are temporarily closed, but if your relatives want to go in, just mention my name. After he finished throwing out the trash, he didn't leave but inquired about Bai Lian's recent project instead. The second grandfather and Ji Yun didn't interrupt and left the entrance of Shanghai apartment first. Only after they got out of Shanghai apartment and headed toward Jiang University, did Ji Yun ask his grandfather, Grandpa, did you ask Uncle about who exactly this cousin of mine is? I don't know. The second grandfather shook his head. The two walked to Jiang University. The security guard originally didn't let people in, but upon hearing the second grandfather and Ji Yun mention Shiyu's name, he opened the gate without any questions, letting the two in. The second grandfather and Ji Yun looked at each other. Once inside, they didn't immediately rush to Celebrity Square. Ji Yun curiously turned around to inquire about the identity of Xiyu from the security guard. The security guard pulled out 2 cigarettes from his pocket, handed them to the second grandfather and Ji Yun, and upon hearing their question was also surprised. That's our principal, Principal Sure, you didn't know? Ji Yun and the second grandfather. After a moment of silence, they first approached Celebrity Square. Upon arrival, they saw the brightly lit Celebrity Square, Liang Zuan's bronze statue standing gently at the forefront, the square still crowded with people, and besides Liang Zuan's statue, the Wall of Fame also had many people gathered. Some were holding professional books, raising them above their heads, worshipping the fame, muttering words. Having been there once before, Ji Yun naturally knew Celebrity Square, where Liang Zuan and his disciples were the hottest figures. Today was really a surprise. He and the second grandfather prayed to Liang Zuan, then approached the fame. Knowing that this was the place of the most well-known alumni of Jiang University in recent history, there weren't many people. He saw the crowd all standing to the left, reciting a name, and couldn't help looking over. He immediately saw the 2 names most recently engraved, Ning Xiao, Bai Lian. Combining everything he saw today, Ji Yun sharply turned around. Grandpa, what did Uncle say his granddaughter's name was? The second grandfather also stared blankly at the last name. Bai Lian, her name is Bai Lian, Lian like in the emperor's vine. Chapter 920. Extra 364 Number 9. Big Boss Friend. The Mysterious Woman Yang Lin, Part 2, Jingjing Biotechnology Company. Limited. Yang Lin stood opposite the company, watching a bus drive away. She made a phone call. Xiaolin, I still have work unfinished, so I can't go have dinner with you today. Wish your friend a happy birthday. On the other end of the line, Yongshu apologized. Yang Lin's voice was calm. All right. She hung up the phone and opened Yongshu's WeChat on her cell phone. Yang Lin usually disliked messaging on WeChat and making phone calls. At 4 o'clock, she had asked him what time he would get off work. He did not reply, so she had called Yongshu. She put away her phone. In front of her, a fiery red sports car stopped, and the man driving took off his sunglasses and looked at her with raised eyebrows. Are you really here? Get in, Alien has asked me to pick you up. It was Su Nanjing. When Yang Lin heard it was about Bai Lian, she didn't bother with formalities and sat in the passenger seat. Su Nanjing waited for her to buckle up before slowly driving. He asked, Didn't you say your good friend was coming today too? He has to work overtime. Yang Lin replied succinctly, her hair fluttering in the breeze. Neither spoke after that. Su Nanjing didn't say much either. Only changed through a few Guzheng tracks on the sound system. Yang Lin's phone lit up a few times. It was Alice from Jingjing Biotechnology's team. Yang Lin, be careful, I just saw Yongshu and Yao Xintian working overtime together. Yang Lin had already secured a place for postgraduate studies under Xia Zhuiyu. Since last year, she had been having projects with Xia Zhuiyu. This summer, Xia Zhuiyu had completely forbidden her from part-time work and pushed her into Jingjing Biotechnology team as an intern to familiarize her with basic processes. Alice was also one of the team's interns. As for Yongshu, he was an accountant in the finance department. Yongshu was the son of a friend of Yang Lin's aunt. After graduating from Jiangjing University of Finance and Economics, when Yang Lin returned to her grandmother's house, she grew closer to her aunt. Knowing she was studying in Jiangjing, her aunt specially entrusted her to her friend's son, Yongshu, for care. Out of consideration for her grandparents' peace of mind, Yang Lin didn't reject this. But she wasn't particularly concerned about it. Yongshu was very caring towards her, but Yang Lin was always cold-hearted. Their relationship changed that night when, after a feverish shift, she fainted on the street and woke up on the bed in her rented room with Yongshu holding a cup of water beside her. She also tried to accept Yongshu. Today, on Bai Lian's birthday, she had wanted to bring Yongshu along to introduce him to Bai Lian and her friends. But it seemed she had thought too much about it. Given the rare opportunity to be close to Yao Xintian, Yongshu probably wouldn't pass up the chance. Yao Xintian, a new intern during the summer, different from Yang Lin and Alice, came in a Porsche, and there were rumors in the intern group about her family being wealthy tycoons. The fiery red sports car suddenly sped up. Ahead was a curve. Su Nanjing shifted the car's weight to the left tire, and even as they nearly crashed into the guardrail, he didn't slow down. Yang Lin couldn't help but close her eyes, gripping her seatbelt tightly as the centrifugal force pulled at her. Her heart had never beat so fast. The entire process took a minute before the car calmly came to a stop. Su Nanjing rested his hand on the steering wheel, his lips slowly moving as he raised his eyebrows at her. Exciting, right? Alien really wants to learn this move from me. Yang Lin opened her eyes, her brain still tingling with excitement, her brows and eyes unusually relaxed. However, as she was always restrained, she said nothing. Sieging Club. When Yang Lin arrived, the entire club was closed today, serving only their group of people. It was still on the top floor. As soon as Su Nanjing entered, he greeted Jiang Fulai and others. Bai Lian was busy posing for photos with Pu Xiaohan, while Zhang Xiais was still earnestly reviewing a case. He was almost a junior. Qi Yundai took up some small cases for him during the summer break to give him some practice. A financial case? Tang Ming brought a glass of wine for Zhang Xiais, looking at the complicated cases he was reviewing, and expressed deep respect. Zhang Xiais looked up, took the wine from Tang Ming, and slowly crossed his legs. After taking a sip of wine, he suddenly chuckled. "What's up?" Tang Ming scratched his head. "Is my look weird?" "Not really." Zhang Xiais put down his wine glass and, under the box room's lighting, showed Tang Ming the case in his hand. "It's just, when I think that someone like me is actually a lawyer, going to court tomorrow, and these big bosses actually trust me a lot, it makes me want to laugh." Zhang Xiais couldn't even imagine himself sitting at the defense table, looking all prim and proper. Tang Ming deeply agreed. "Thinking how I just published another paper in Nature the day before yesterday, and President Huang wants to focus on developing my project, I want to laugh too." Next to them, Chen Beixian was speechless. She totally couldn't continue working. On the right, Pu Xiaohan saw Yang Lin and quickly waved. "Yang Lin, come over here and take a photo with Alien. You'll be the material for my next video." Pu Xiaohan was shooting a series of videos titled, "What My High School Classmates Are Up to Now." Yang Lin walked over to take the photo. Today, Bai Lian wore a diagonally buttoned blouse with light-colored bamboo leaves embroidered on it, revealing a slender section of her arm. Taking photos with Yang Lin, and following Pu Xiaohan's words, she lazily struck a pose and asked, "Where's your friend?" Yang Lin was supposed to bring a friend, and Bai Lian knew about it. She was very concerned about Yang Lin's situation, and was happy to hear she had made a friend. Something came up. Yang Lin looked up casually as Pu Xiaohan removed her glasses. As soon as the glasses were removed, those dark, beautiful eyes were revealed. Bai Lian crossed her arms and glanced at her thoughtfully. After taking the photo, Pu Xiaohan, holding the camera, said to Yang Lin, "Yin Lu reserved VIP seats for us all. Alien is busy going to Xiqing and can't make it. Yang Lin, will you join me instead?" "Sure." Yin Lu is now mainly in movies and TV dramas, and reluctantly organized 2 concerts this year due to strong fan demand. There was 1 concert in each of the 4 major cities and in Jiangjing. As soon as the news hit, it crashed the internet. Yongshu didn't go to Bai Lian's birthday party. Afterwards, Yang Lin never brought it up again, and both maintained a mutual understanding, not contacting each other since Bai Lian's birthday. Yongshu had changed his WeChat profile picture too. The original picture was of lily flowers, Yang Lin's favorite. Knowing this, he had planted a pot in his company dormitory, and sent her pictures every day. Now it had changed to a cute and sprightly short-tailed cat. Yao Xintian liked cats, and had brought her cat to work before, but she stopped after the manager intervened. During lunch, Alice, clattering her food tray, indignantly told Yang Lin, "Men are just assholes." Yang Lin silently handed her the chicken drumstick from her bowl, her voice calm and detached as usual. "Eat the drumstick." Alice took a big bite of the drumstick and mumbled, "Yang Lin, why don't you ever cuss a bit?" Finishing her last bite of rice, Yang Lin simply commented, "It's human nature." Alice, looking worried, said, "This is why people take advantage of you. Anyway, did you know our list for permanent positions is coming out this weekend?" Both of them were still interns. "Is that so?" Yang Lin was surprised. "How come you're never concerned about anything?" Alice poked at her food, looking at Yang Lin across the table. "Sometimes I really think you're a mysterious woman." After finishing their meal, they returned to their office desks. Just as they got off the elevator, they saw 2 people coming out of the neighboring elevator. It was Yao Xintian and Yongshu. Yao Xintian was holding a Porsche key and 2 tickets, standing beside her. Yongshu looked handsome and tall. The financial university's heartthrob indeed had his charms. When she saw Yang Lin, Yao Xintian gave her a meaningful glance. Turning around, she handed the 2 concert tickets to Yongshu. "I heard your sister is a fan of Yin Lu. Here are the tickets for her concert in Jiangjing's B-Zone. Take care of them." Chapter 921, 365 Side Story 10. All Grandmasters. Ticket for Zone A. Yin Lu wasn't a professional singer, but with 2 trump cards in her hand, her position in the Chinese music scene was in a league of its own. At the strong request of fans, Time Entertainment had also discussed this matter with Yin Lu several times. It wasn't until this year that Yin Lu relented and held 6 concerts, including 1 special concert in Xiangqing. How popular was Yin Lu now? Put it this way, Out of 10 people on the street, 9 were casual fans of Yen Lu, and the other one was a die-hard fan. Great Yong was also exceedingly popular overseas, having been translated into more than a dozen languages and broadcast internationally. Moreover, Yen Lu's sci-fi movie from last year was also screened abroad. For her concerts, it wasn't just the young people scrambling for tickets. The middle-aged and elderly fans were also a major force. Yet the largest sports venue in Jiangxing could only accommodate 100,000 people. With fans both domestically and internationally, there were only 100,000 tickets available. At this time, those who could get their hands on the tickets were no ordinary people, let alone those with tickets to be zone. Next to Yang Lin, Alice looked at the tickets in Yong Shu and Yao Zinshan's hands with great surprise, as their office was basically full of Yen Lu fans. After the two left, Alice followed Yang Lin back to the office. With B-Zone tickets to Yen Lu's concert, Yong Shu has really snagged a rich woman. I'm so envious. Then, remembering Yang Lin beside her, Alice quickly corrected herself. But it's just 2 tickets. Yang Lin walked to her seat and picked up her water bottle to go to the break room to get water. The break room. Yong Shu stood by the water dispenser with 2 tickets in hand, dressed in a white shirt and black trousers, tall and trim with a very delicate profile. His popularity had always been high in the company. Yang Lin unscrewed the lid, standing beside him to get water. A pair of glossy black eyes hidden behind spectacle lenses made it impossible to discern her expression. She just stood there, silent and quiet. So quiet that one could easily overlook her presence at any time. Yong Shu stood beside her, looking down at her with a complex gaze. Yong Qi comes to Jiangxing tonight, and I hope you won't say anything you shouldn't. They were going together to Yen Lu's concert the next weekend. Yong Qi was Yong Shu's sister, a high school student in Xiangqing and a fan of Yang Lin and her friends, with whom she had a good relationship. Yang Lin turned off the water and looked back at Yong Shu. She clearly understood what Yong Shu meant. He still hoped she could maintain a good image in front of his family. Yong Shu, Yang Lin's gaze was serene, those eyes through the glasses reflecting the window's reflection, excessively beautiful as she spoke softly. You're overthinking, we never had much of a relationship to begin with. Having said that, Yang Lin took her water bottle and left. She was always so aloof, as if she could remain composed regardless of the sky falling down. Yong Shu watched her retreating figure, his fingers twitched slightly, and only when Yang Lin pulled open the break room door, he whispered an apology, sorry. Yang Lin did not respond and simply walked away. The office. The news of Miss Yao donating Yen Lu concert tickets to Yong Shu had already spread throughout the floor. Although the company didn't have an explicit policy, office romances were mostly frowned upon by most people, but these two seemed to have no intention of discretion. That afternoon, a department meeting was held. Yong Shu reported on the recent financial issues. Manager Wang of the finance department, unusually, praised Yong Shu. It was a situation that had never occurred before. Yong Shu, imperturbable, responded graciously to the compliment. Everyone was wondering what kind of wealthy family Miss Yao belonged to. After the meeting, Yao Xintian waited in the company hallway with her car keys, talking and laughing with people from her internship team. I'm waiting to go pick up his sister with my senior. When Yong Shu arrived, she linked her arm through his and they left together. Both were graduates of Jiangxing University of Finance and Economics. Yong Shu, a charismatic figure even during his school days, gentle and polite, pressed the elevator button and shielded the door for her, entering the elevator behind her. Coworkers who saw them were mostly envious, thinking he was extremely lucky. Only Alice knew that before this, Yong Shu used to wait every day for Yang Lin to get off work together, and she bitterly said, "Unreliable, not at all reliable. He once brought you medicine at midnight. Indeed, no man can be trusted." Yang Lin thought for a moment and then told Alice, "There are some who can be relied on." "Who? Are you talking about my god Mei?" As they exited the elevator, Alice asked. "No." Yang Lin thought of Zhang Xiai's and the others and smiled for once. "It's my friends." A colleague from the internship group beside her stared at Yang Lin, then hesitated before suggesting, "Yang Lin, you should smile more." Alice nodded in agreement. They arrived at the company's ground floor. Chapter 922. 365 Side Story 10. All Grandmasters. Ticket for Zone A_2 Yao Zinshan's Porsche pulled away, and the team's interns all watched the car with the Jiangjing license plate drive off. It wasn't their first time seeing Yao Zinshan's car. Being able to intern at Jiangjing Biotech right after graduating from university and driving such a nice car, it went without saying that her family was powerful. In Jiangjing, that license plate number is probably worth almost as much as her car, someone remarked as the Porsche's tailpipe faded into the distance. Which young miss is Ms. Yao, the daughter of exactly? Heard she's the daughter of one of our company's shareholders. There were many speculations about Yao Xintian, and based on the attitude of the finance department towards Yongshu today, most people were convinced of Yao Zinshan's identity. Yang Lin took out her bus card and headed diagonally across the street. Alice walked with her. Neither of them were from Jiangjing. Today was Friday. Alice was heading back to her shared apartment, and Yang Lin was going back to Jiang University, back to the lab, and also Ji Hung had asked her to come over for dinner in the evening. On the way, Alice exclaimed, "Tickets for Yen Lu and B-Zone. If the world had one more rich person like me, what difference would it make?" Yang Lin patted Alice on the shoulder, informing her that they had reached Jiangjing University, and that she needed to get off the bus first. Alice waved goodbye to her. Shanghai apartment. Yang Lin, wearing a long-sleeved traditional-style shirt and carrying a canvas bag, was on the phone with Xia Zhuiyu. Xia Zhuiyu was still at a conference abroad. Still very concerned about this air. "How do you find the company?" "Overall it's okay," Yang Lin replied honestly. "But I can't get used to the atmosphere." Xia Zhuiyu wasn't good at socializing either. "You don't have to deal with interpersonal relations. I'll be back at the end of the month. Just get used to it, and send me your paper this week. I'll find time to revise it over the weekend." "Thank you, Professor." Yang Lin walked into the residential complex. The security guards had already recognized her, and opened the access gate as they saw her approaching. There were still a lot of people in apartment 103. Bai Lian's birthday had just passed, and most of the guests who came to Jiangjing hadn't left yet. By the time Yang Lin arrived, Lance was playing chess. Their group never seemed to get tired of playing Go. Seeing Yang Lin, he quickly got up from the chessboard. "Come here." Yang Lin saw Jiang He sitting opposite with a straight posture. How was she supposed to play? Bracing herself, she made a few moves in Jiang He's hands and quickly fell behind. Pu Xiaohan came in with a camera, spotted Jiang He, and immediately started teasing the youngster. "Brother Bird, I'm going to tell Bai Lian you've been bullying her later." In the entire Shanghai apartment, besides Bai Lian and Jiang Fulai, probably only Yu Xinjing could beat Jiang He. Jiang He. He silently retracted a piece in his hand. Ji Hung and Mr. Chen were cooking in the kitchen, while Shen Qing was dedicated to washing fruits and making milk tea. Ming Dongheng drove back and saw Shen Qing skillfully pouring the tea leaves into a canister, now able to face it calmly. Bai Lian and Jiang Fulai came back from the research institute, speaking softly about matters concerning the institute. In her hand, Bai Lian held several tickets, lightly pressed in the palm. She was wearing a long t-shirt similar to Yang Lin's. Her long hair casually fell on her forehead, appearing relaxed and indolent. Jiang Fulai followed a step behind Bai Lian, leisurely keeping pace with her. Seeing her and Jiang Fulai, Pu Xiaohan was the first to rush over to Bai Lian, looping an arm around hers. "Bai Lian! Bai Lian! Are these my tickets?" Bai Lian handed a stack of tickets over to Pu Xiaohan. Yen Lu had left a bunch of tickets for Bai Lian and the others, including their own VIP seats and a few extras that their manager had arranged for their friends. "Leave 2 for me, and the rest of you can divide them amongst yourselves," Bai Lian said, with her hands folded in front of her chest, leaning back against the table very relaxedly, turning her head to look at Shen Qing and Jiang Fulai. While Jiang Fulai was watching Shen Qing make milk tea, Jiang Fulai reached out to take the strainer, his eyelids lowered, fingers slightly curved, methodically filtering the brewed tea leaves. Then he added sugar. Shen Qing stood next to him, continuously praising him. Having filtered the milk tea, Jiang Fulai looked up nonchalantly at Bai Lian, arching an eyebrow. The milk tea was just about done, and Jiang Fulai poured a glass for Bai Lian and handed it to her. Bai Lian took a sip with her eyes downcast, her expression unchanged. It's good. Shen Qing was serving milk tea to others. They had all asked their manager in advance for a certain number of tickets, and Pu Xiaohan pulled out 4. Okay, here are 3 for my roommate, and 1 more for Bei, who is coming next week. After taking out 4 tickets, she kissed each one of them affectionately. Yang Lin also got 2 tickets. She had prearranged them with the manager, and now she held the tickets, unsure what to do next, and simply slipped them into her pocket. Chapter 923, 365 Side Story 10. All Grandmasters, ticket for Zone A_3. Shen Qing handed out the milk tea to each of them. Xiaohan Pu sat next to Yang Lin, and both of them took their milk tea and took a sip. Yang Lin showed no expression. Xiaohan Pu couldn't resist, lifted her head to look at the composed Yang Lin, then glanced at Jiang He, who also had a poker face, and dared not speak. Tang Ming and Ning Xiao had just arrived, coming straight from Dean Huang's office, their heads covered in sweat. The summit is on Monday. Ning Xiao wiped the sweat from his forehead and spoke to Bai Lian. Dean Huang wants you to represent and give a speech. This task, when handled by Bai Lian, always carried an air of commanding authority. Even Dean Huang couldn't match it. Bai Lian nodded. Okay, I'll prepare the speech later. Seeing the children so hot, Shen Qing handed them milk tea with ice cubes. Ning Xiao took a sip, then finished it expressionlessly. Tang Ming took a sip, grimaced and said, Aunt, did your hand shake today? You added so much sugar, it's a bit. From the side, Xiaohan Pu said softly, Brother Jiang added the sugar. Jiang Fulai stood at the kitchen doorway, the bygone aristocrat still holding Tang Ming's unpublished paper, leisurely tilting his head and casting a cold glance at Tang Ming. It's kind of tasty. Tang Ming got startled and finished the milk tea in one gulp. Sunday. By the gate of Jiang University, Yongshu was on call with Yao Xintian, staring at the Jiangjing University sign and the armed police lined up outside, feeling an indescribable yearning. The person on the phone said something, he responded, then hung up and turned to the girl beside him. There's a summit at Jiang University lately, Miss Yao can't get in either. After saying that, Yongshu looked up at the banner outside Jiang University's gate. 7th Asian Physics Summit. The summit would last 7 days, with armed police stationed at the school entrance. Even Jiangjing's own students needed a special pass to enter during this period. During this time, Jiang University gathered the most outstanding minds in physics from the past decades. If anything were to happen to them, Asian physics would be set back by decades. Therefore, both Jiang University and Jiangjing placed high emphasis on security for this summit. It being summer vacation, control was strict inside and outside the campus. Not even a fly could get in without scrutiny. They ensured there were no lapses in security whatsoever. Yongqi glanced at him, then took out her phone to call Yang Lin. "Oh, call Sister Yang. She's a student here, she definitely has a way." Yongshu wanted to tell her not to contact Yang Lin so frequently, but knowing that Yongqi was beyond his control, he shook his head. It's a summit, even she can't help, she can't even get in herself now. Yongqi didn't look at him, just made the call. Yang Lin asked her to wait at the gate for a while. 10 minutes later, Yongshu was somewhat surprised to see Yang Lin coming out from inside Jiang University. Yongqi excitedly looked at Yang Lin, Sister Yang. As Yang Lin approached, a gray pass hung around her neck, and she held a plastic bag in her hand, handing it to Yongqi. Milk tea. Yongqi took it, discovering it was an unmarked milk tea, and was even happier. Thank you, sister. Toward Yongqi, the young underclass woman from Xiangqing, Yang Lin was always very patient, inquiring why she came to Jiang University. She wanted to check in at Celebrity Square and visit the physics department. Yongshu explained from the side, but we knew we couldn't get in. Sister Yang, it's okay. I just called to see if you were around, wanting to see you. Yongqi took a sip of the milk tea. It's just right, where did you buy it from, sister? Yang Lin tilted her head to look at Yongqi, her expression unusually warm. Aunt made it, wait here for me a moment. She walked aside to make a call. Meanwhile, Yongshu watched Yang Lin's retreating figure, greatly surprised, setting aside where this aunt of Yang Lin's came from. How could Yang Lin still freely move in and out of Jiang University? 5 minutes later, a young man walked out from the campus. Seeing Yang Lin, he jogged over and handed her a temporary pass in his hand. Sister Yang, this is from Jianghe for you. Thank you. Yang Lin took it. Because of Bai Lian, these people were all very familiar with each other. Why are you being polite with me? Just try to avoid Mr. Lance and Dean Huang later. They are both looking for you. Wang Su raised his eyebrows, his hand casually in his pocket. Mr. Lance had heard from Dean Huang that Yang Lin was working on a growth serum for him, and he was very interested. Yang Lin had a headache. Wang Su smiled, saw Yongshu and Yongqi next to Yang Lin, and waved to greet them. Hello, I'm Wang Su. If you need anything while visiting Jiangjing University, just contact me. I'll be around for the next few days. After saying that, he waved goodbye to Yang Lin. Wang Su was from a leading family in Xiqing, and the clothes he wore were all branded. Yongshu looked at the watch on Wang Zu's wrist. He had heard from Yao Xintian before that it was a Patek Philippe brand. It was a collector's level watch, worth at least 1 million and up. Is he a classmate of Yang Lin? Also, does Yang Lin have an aunt? How come he had never heard Yang Lin's aunt mention it? Monday, Yang Lin went to Jingjiang Biotechnology Company. She was involved in the biotechnology project related to growth serums, and as an intern, she had always been diligent in following the entire project. Yang Lin, the project manager, handed a document to Yang Lin, looking at her with admiration. There's an evaluation at the end of the month. You definitely have to stay, I believe in you. This summer internship, Yang Lin had always far surpassed others. She was distinguished in her capabilities. Yang Lin looked at the project manager. She hadn't told the project manager, she was just. In the afternoon, some leaders came to inspect the 17th floor, and the project manager asked everyone to be very spirited to greet the leaders. The leading executive, in his 40s or 50s, dressed in a suit with a leather collar, was quite imposing. All the employees on this floor stood up to greet him, and the manager of the 17th floor followed this leader, always speaking to him in a low and respectful voice, calling him President Yao. Everyone on the 17th floor stood up to greet President Yao. In the next office, Yao Xintian came out from her workstation, and in the hallway, many people heard her call this President Yao Dad. In the small groups of various departments on the 17th floor, the news went viral. Without exception, they were all talking about finally seeing the living heiress. Alice looked at the messages in the group chat, exchanged glances with a few other interns next to her, and dared not speak. Until the end of the day, the people on the 17th floor were still discussing Yao Xinshan's matter. In the elevator, colleagues on the same floor were gossiping. No wonder she could be so generous, directly giving away 2 concert tickets for Bizone. Those are tickets for Yen Lu's first concert. Yang Lin was looking down at her cell phone. She looked very serious. Alice glanced and noticed Yang Lin reading something in English. She didn't understand what it was, only recognizing a few complex biological terms. The elevator doors opened, and Yang Lin walked out. Alice followed her to the bus stop, then she scratched her head. Are you okay? Yang Lin looked up. Her eyes behind the glasses were extremely calm. She looked at Alice and said, There is something. Oh, Alice was startled. Yang Lin pulled out 2 tickets from her canvas bag and passed them over. Alice took them. She looked down and saw they were 2 Yen Lu tickets, seats A15 and A16 in Zone A. Chapter 924, Extra Episode 366. The end Yen Lu's concerts are rare occasions. This time, after it ends, no one knows when the next one will be. And it's not just the A-Zone tickets that are difficult to come by. Even regular tickets are scarce. It's summertime, nearing 6 o'clock, and the sun hasn't fully set yet. Alice stares at the lingering sunlight, her gaze drifting down to the tickets in her hand. Yen Lu's concert tickets? A-Zone ones at that? Yeah. Yang Lin is reviewing Xia Zuya's suggestions for her paper. These 2 tickets were originally prepared for Yongqi and Alice. But now that Yongshu had received tickets from Yao Xintian, Yang Lin gave both to Alice. She's a loner by nature, with only a few friends. Besides Alice, if anyone else wanted Yen Lu's tickets, it would only take a word. The public bus arrives and Yang Lin, carrying her canvas bag, gets on. Alice follows behind her, as if floating on a cloud of cotton onto the bus. Alice really wants to ask where Yang Lin got these tickets from, but with the bus so crowded at the end of the workday, she can't find the right opportunity to speak up. In the end, she just frantically messages Yang Lin on her phone. Evening. Alice posts a message to her social circle. Alice, this splendor has finally come my way image. The picture is of 2 Yen Lue Zone concert tickets. She didn't exclude anyone. In less than a minute, people in Project Team 2's group at the company started mentioning Alice. At Alice? Yen Lu's tickets? A zone? At Alice, I'm calling you sis now. I bet you're missing a little sister to carry your bags. A zone seats are sold to the public and closest to the stage, nearly half as many as B zone but priced at more than double. Before this, Yao Xintian had given Yongshu 2 B zone tickets for the whole company. Word about Alice's 2 tickets spread like wildfire across the company's various groups. At the moment, Yongshu is still working overtime, checking the reports the manager sent him one by one. Ever since CEO Yao's last visit to the company, Yongshu has been well regarded by the supervisors. Just as he finishes going through the reports, a message pops up on his WeChat. It's from his co-worker, with a screenshot. Alice. It's the tickets that Yang Lin gave me. Co-worker. Yang Lin gave Alice the Yen Lue Zone tickets. Co-worker. Even the young miss didn't get a zone tickets, right? Seeing this message, Yongshu pauses. He checks the groups on his phone, and indeed they are discussing Alice's 2A zone tickets. Yongshu zooms in and confirms they are Yen Lu concert A zone tickets. But how could Yang Lin have them? He remembers Yao Xintian only had 1 B zone ticket herself. Yongshu spends the entire evening pondering over this issue with Yang Lin. The next day at the company, the topic of conversation among his co-workers is no longer about Miss Yao and Yongshu, but about Alice's A-zone tickets, drawing curiosity from people in other departments who come over to see the tickets in Alice's hands. In the break room, a co-worker asks Yongshu, could it be that Yang Lin is also the daughter of some rich family? Not possible, Yongshu says with certainty as his cup nearly overflows. She isn't. No one knows Yang Lin's background better than him. The co-worker blinks then nods. True, you and she are from the same hometown. Yongshu secures his cup and heads back to his desk composedly. End of August. The summer internships are drawing to a close, and the outcomes for each department are about to be announced. The entire biotech company is undergoing a major cleanup. In addition, security guards have been assigned to the entrance and various intersections. With her meal in hand, Alice talks to Yang Lin about the company's cleaning efforts. I heard a big shot is coming to the company this afternoon. Seeing how secretive they're being and how many security guards they've prepared. Is it the richest man in Jiangjing who's visiting us? Yang Lin, never one for many words, quietly listens to Alice talk. The whole building is abuzz with speculation about the matter. After lunch, the announcement for the intern's official employment is released. Alice and Yao Xintian are both outstanding interns and are successfully hired. However, Alice doesn't pay much attention to her own official employment document, instead carefully studying the company's announcement. No way, how could you not be included? She checks again and again. There's no mention of Yang Lin's name. Shocked, she looks toward Yang Lin. Was there a mistake with the official document? I'll go talk to the manager. Don't, says Yang Lin, lifting her gaze from the paper and reaching out to stop Alice, her tone as calm as always. It's okay, I wasn't planning on staying here anyway. Despite Yang Lin's slender frame, when she reaches out her hand, Alice feels as if immobilized by an iron chain, unable to move. Not planning on staying here? Alice stops. Is it because of those two? Yang Lin pats her arm unhurried. No, my coming here was never about the internship. Chapter 925. Extra Episode 366. The end _2 Alice was stopped by Yang Lin, and failed to inquire at the manager's office. But as soon as the internship list was released, all these interns noticed the issue with Yang Lin. Yang Lin had indeed performed excellently at her workstation, and everyone recognized her merits. Yet she had not appeared on the list for permanent employment, inevitably linking this issue to Yao Xintian. For a time, there was excessive sympathy for Yang Lin. Even Yongshu, unusually, sent Yang Lin a message on WeChat. Yongshu, you should intern at another company. Yongshu, I am thinking of your best interests. As Yang Lin looked at these two messages, her finger hovered over Yongshu's name, recalling their past meetings when he was young and full of ambition, and how he had been passed over for promotions twice in 2 years. Yongshu was also anxious. No one is content with mediocrity. Yang Lin calmly pressed the delete button. Afternoon. 2 rows of bodyguards were stationed at the company's main entrance, with the chairman, shareholders, and senior managers from various departments all standing on the first floor, waiting to receive someone. This scene set the company's internal chat groups abuzz. Some were constantly monitoring the activity on the first floor. Employees on the 17th floor gathered in groups, discussing animatedly as Alice, invigorated, stood next to Yang Lin, updating her with the latest developments. An eyewitness said, "It's a middle-aged man, but the chairman has banned taking photos." Yang Lin was still dealing with her work. On hearing this, she nodded slightly. 20 minutes later, colleagues from the corridor excitedly ran in. "Everyone get ready, he's here. The chairman is bringing him up to the 17th floor for inspection." A large group emerged from 2 elevators. All the 17th floor employees were gathered by their manager in the open rest area outside the corridor. Leading them was a middle-aged man who looked silent. Accompanying him were 2 plain-clothed individuals, not ordinary bodyguards as their waists bulged, possibly concealing guns. Escorting him was none other than their company chairman, and to the left, several shareholders. The other senior managers followed behind them, hardly able to contain their excitement. The 17th floor's employees stood together, falling silent and holding their breath as they spoke. Everyone guessed who this carefully guarded individual by the chairman and several major shareholders might be. Yao Xintian and Yongshu walked beside President Yao, who introduced them to the middle-aged man. "Dean Xia, this is my daughter Yao Xintian, who will be responsible for the growth serum selling project." The man nodded slightly in acknowledgement to Yao Xintian. The rest of the staff on the 17th floor observed Yao Xintian and Yongshu, having already guessed at Yao Xintian's identity, so this introduction didn't come as a surprise. Xia Zhuyu listened quietly as they described the project before speaking as he prepared to leave. This visit to the biotechnology sector mainly concerns the growth serum. The chairman quickly stopped, bowing. "Dean Xia, please speak." "The main person in charge of the growth serum project is not me, but my direct disciple, so she will be fully responsible for this matter. If there are any issues, feel free to contact me." Xia Zuyu's gaze scanned the crowd, settling on Yang Lin at the very back. "Yang Lin, come and meet Director Lin." The movements in the crowd abruptly ceased. From top to bottom on the 17th floor, and even the chairman, all eyes pierced through several people, resting on the silent young woman. Yang Lin had faced countless grand events. Wasn't the audience under her speeches for top scholarships far greater than these people? She walked out of the crowd with composure, as the crowd naturally parted ways for her. Director Lin saw Yang Lin and hurried forward, extending both hands to shake hers. "I have long heard about the exceptional protege of Dean Xia, famous for quite some time, and today I finally get to meet you." "Director Lin, hello," Yang Lin responded, returning the handshake. Director Lin smiled warmly at Yang Lin, repeating, "Calling me Director Lin is so formal, just call me Uncle Lin." Xia Zhuyu, the pinnacle of biology in the country, his hand-picked students were not something just anyone could meet, so naturally, Director Lin seized the opportunity to get close to Yang Lin. "Let's go." Xia Zhuyu arrived mainly to pick up Yang Lin. "An academician of life sciences is waiting for you." Yang Lin nodded, grabbed her canvas bag from her station, and left with Xia Zhuyu. Everyone on the 17th floor was watching Yang Lin's departing figure. Xia Zuyu's 2 government-assigned bodyguards followed right behind them. People on the 17th floor had never seen such a spectacle. Only when the elevator doors closed did someone let out a long breath and ask Alice, who was close to Yang Lin, "My God, Alice, was Yang Lin here on a secret visit? Can someone tell me who she really is?" Alice was surrounded by a crowd of people, But truthfully, how could she know the depths of Yang Lin's background? Of course, there are no secrets in the company. Within less than 2 hours, someone dug up the glory of Xiaozhuiyu. They didn't even need to dig, his recent conference had already made news. As for his hand-picked student, was that even in question? A big shot in the biology world? Did Jiang University build a whole building for him? Does our company survive on Dean Xia's management? Someone in the group inhaled sharply. Yang Lin is an honorary alumna of Jiang University. Already has several SCI and Nature papers before she even finished her senior year. What kind of deity had we been working with for 2 months? Everyone was astounded. A future star in the field of biology, a nationally protected figure, compared to them, mere employees of a small company. The gap was immense. In her days, Alice realized why Yang Lin wasn't on the probation conversion list. However, Alice glanced out of the corner of her eye toward Yongshu in the break room, still getting water. His face wasn't visible, but the water cup was overfilling, the scalding water spilling over onto his hand, seemingly without him realizing. Alice looked away, shrugging. It is for the best these two parted ways, letting Yang Lin stand out on her own. Later, Yang Lin would occasionally visit the company to communicate with the project team. As for Yongshu's situation, she didn't ask again. Yongshu tried to reconnect with Yang Lin, but she did not respond. That afternoon, after Yang Lin visited the company, she went downstairs with Alice. Yongshu saw his chance to speak with her. But before he could get a word out, a fiery red sports car stopped at the entrance, with Su Nanjing tapping his fingers carelessly on the steering wheel. Everyone at the company's entrance was drawn to the eye-catching car. But more than the car itself, its ostentatious license plate featuring a string of 8s caught everyone's attention. "Today is Grandpa's birthday. Alien asked me to pick you up," Su Nanjing said, removing his sunglasses and smiling politely. Yang Lin nodded and told Alice she was getting into the car. She sat in the passenger seat, serenely watching the passing scenery. Yongshu's situation didn't impact her much. It merely fueled her passion for scientific research even further. You're tuning into the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.